Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, iRacing fans from around the world, welcome to a very special event here with KMA Racing. Tonight, we are racing for a pad, People Against Distracted Driving. This is our monthly race for pad 266. You're in store for 100 laps of Talladega Super Speedway. You're going to see a lot of great paint jobs out here tonight, a lot of purple that support the mission of PAD, which is to end the insanity of distracted driving. Now, as we go along tonight, we are going to sit back and we're going to talk a lot about PAD. I'm going to give you some information, going to tell you how you can learn more about PAD and ways to protect your loved ones from becoming just another casualty of distracted driving. And you know, folks, distracted driving, it is truly something that we come together once a month here and we just try to get the word out about how truly dangerous it is. You know, next time you're driving, sit at that stoplight, look to your left, look to your right. You're going to see somebody on that cell phone. And I tell you what, that is what started PAD. Mike Kaleni, the father of Nikki Kaleni, lost her life in a distracted driving accident. She was a victim of another driver that chose to pick up that telephone, and unfortunately, Nikki Kaleni lost her life at a very young age, and that inspired Mike Kaleni and the Kaleni family to create PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. Check them out online at www.padd.org. All right, we've got some great racing weather out here tonight. We've got air temp at 65, track temp setting down at 75. We are running the Chevy Silverados and the Toyota Tundras. And we are at Talladega Super Speedway. Track length of 2.6 miles. We'll call it 2.5 and call it good. And I tell you what, we have got some really top-of-the-line quality drivers out here tonight joining us. We got Edward Bray in the house. We've got Travis Browder along with a couple of his boys, Wally Tierheimer and Chris Voiles. Good to see those boys out here tonight. We've got Joel Guy up there in the admin taking on, making sure that everything runs really well and smooth out here tonight. Donald Stewart driving a brand new pad truck. We're looking really excited to take a look at that brand new pad truck brought to you by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Qualifying just about over. Now, as you know, folks, on the Speedway, qualifying really, it's just not that important. These guys are going to have to pit. They're going to have to pit 3 times, looking at about a 30-lap fuel run. And pitting is completely everything. And as those green flag stops do happen, that's going to separate the men from the boys out here on this super speedway track. You're going to see a lot of bump drafting, might even see a caution or two. Last night the boys went caution free at Talladega. Hopefully they're going to have that same luck out here tonight. But again, keep in mind, qualifying is not necessarily going to pinpoint the winner of tonight's race. Qualifying times are coming in. We're going to take a look at those qualifying times. Sitting out there on that very front line, we have got Edward Bray with a 54.710 side by side with Donald Stewart with a 54.742. Good times, good times. Sitting in third place, we've got Brad Harris. Chris Voiles sitting back there in fourth position. Lee Staples back in fifth, and Mark McFadden out of Canada putting it in sixth place tonight. Gary Whitmer Sr. sitting in seventh. Wally Tierheimer back there in position eighth. Middle of the pack, we've got John Woodruff, Rob Haynes, Travis Browder back in 11th. Travis choosing not to qualify tonight. Very interesting. He might have a little strategy going on. Rodney German back there in 12th position. Gary Whitmer Jr., lucky number 13 for the 05 tonight. Good luck to Gary Whitmer Jr. with GW Graphics. Michael Johnson sitting back in 15th position. Michael Johnson always driving a PAD-endorsed vehicle. Big shout out there to Michael. Joel Wood back in 16th. Jay Dargett on the number 22, position 17. Our good friend Ivan Garcia, always a hoot and a holler, back in position 18th. John Henderson back in 20th. Joel Guy in 21st. And in the rear of the field, we have got Kevin Scott Nelson. Drivers beginning to roll out. Going to be a great race out here tonight as we do spend our evening tonight remembering the lost lives caused by distracted driving in our monthly Race for PAD. Find more information out at www.padd.org or check them out on Facebook. Now, at some point in time tonight, folks, I'm going to talk about Gary Whitmer Jr., Gary Whitmer Sr., and Becky Whitmer, and how they spent their weekend. Had a whole lot to do with PAD, I tell you what. And here at KMA, we're all very, very proud of the Whitmer family for their actions of this weekend. Getting ready to kick off 100 laps at Talladega. Edward Bray up there in front, leading that pack away side by side with the number 78 of Donald Stewart. Both Ed and Donald Stewart looking very fine in those brand new PAD trucks, showing their support for PAD. Big shout out there to all the painters out there. Ed, a little bit of a painter himself. Donald Stewart's truck designed by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Huge supporter of PAD. All the starts here are done on green first time around. Restarts done on leader's discretion thereafter. Ed waiting patiently. But the anticipation is in the air. Donald Stewart already lining up. Pretty well evenly matched. Trucks tightening up. Nose to tail, bumper to bumper.
Green flag.
Green flag in the air and away they go. Kicking off 100 laps at Talladega. Edward Bray on the inside, side by side with Donald Stewart. Brad Harrison, the number 25, giving everything he's got to the number 66. But on that outside lane, we have got Chris Boyles pushing hard on Donald Stewart. Bit of a gap there on the outside between the number 9 and the number 48 of Mark McFadden. Mark McFadden a little hesitant on that start. Number 25 on the inside lane, trying to get his marks up under the rear end of Edward Bray. Lee Staples, third truck in line on the inside. And the Karen Chevy Silverado. Big shout out there to Karen, the wife of Lee Staples. Donald Stewart up there in front, getting a big boost from the number 9, and down goes the number 78. Slight contact between Edward Bray and Chris Boyles as the number 78 comes down in front of the number 66. That'll give that lead to Donald Stewart. Chris Boyles on the outside leading on the outside lane. Now, as these trucks roll around, you will notice one similarity with all these trucks, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the purple rims. Several shades of purple out here, but I tell you what, story behind the purple rims is purple was the favorite color of the fallen angel Nikki Clenny. Always loved the color purple. So the racers thought that would be one way to show their support for the Clenny family was to put on the purple pride on the back of the number 78. Picture of Nikki Clenny wearing the wings. 78 being driven by Donald Stewart, being challenged on the outside by Chris Voyles. Chris Voyles getting a good push from the number 48 of Mark McFadden. Number 25, Brad Harris in the GMAC. Showing a lot of patience out there. We're off to a very, very good start. Lap 3 of 100. Donald Stewart leading every lap so far out here tonight. Of course, the only lap that really matters you lead is the final lap. If Donald and Edward can stay hooked up all night, successfully complete their pit stops, I'll tell you what, they're going to have a real good chance of winning tonight's race. But here on the speedways, anything can happen. Things can change in the blink of an eye. Now these trucks, they do turn. They do turn very, very easily. Edward Bray tightening up that groove line onto the number 78 of Donald Stewart. Edward Bray, one of the admins of tonight's race, pulling double duty, keeping the boys in line, keeping it fun, as well as running his own race. Edward Bray, no stranger to victory lane, brings the number 66 into victory lane 2 or 3 times a month. Very, very skilled driver, very good equipment. Edward Bray giving a boost to the number 78 of Donald Stewart. Number 64 of Lee Staples, running with Black Talon Racing, teammate of Edward Bray. Lee Staples running in 5th position. Side by side with the number 75 of Wally Tierheimer. Number 52 of Gary Whitmer back in 8th place. Gary Whitmer giving a lot of room out here tonight. Gary wanting to make sure that he finishes up tonight's race in a very good position. Number 52, Angels Never Die, being driven by Gary Whitmer. Beautiful paint job, showing the Sport 4 pad and remembering Nikki Clenny. Now, I told you folks I was going to tell you a little story about the Whitmer family tonight. Yesterday on June 30th, Mike Lenny and Pad had their walk with Pad. A chance for the Pad supporters to get together, take a little walk, show their support for Nikki Kaleni and all the fallen victims of distracted driving. And Becky and Gary Sr. and Gary Whitmer made that trip to the walk with Pad. Directly involved with it. That was really, really cool stuff right there. So a big shout out there to the Whitmer family. That video that we saw about Pad in the beginning of tonight's broadcast, we'll see it again along about lap 50, but I tell you what, that video constructed by GW Graphics, Gary Whitmer Jr. So I tell you what, folks, as we go 3 wide for the first time tonight and a driver will fall a lap down, I want to give a hats off to the Whitmer family. Huge supporters of Pad, people against distracted driving. Becky Whitmer, once upon a time making a beautiful Pad quilt. 004 Michael Johnson will fall 1 lap down. Michael having a little bit of truck trouble tonight, trying to get it rolling. But glad to see that Michael Johnson is back on track. Chris Boyles in the number 9, heading in the wrong direction as he's being taken 3 wide. Chris Boyles dropping to the back of the pack, and he is dropping fast as the number 79 comes ripping by. John Henderson in the 111, and 3 wide with the 224. Ivan Garcia, Kevin Scott Nelson. There is 05 of Gary Whitmer Jr. Not sure what happened there with the number 9 of Chris Boyles, but I tell you what, he was going in the wrong direction, stepping it back up now, going alongside the number 72 of Ivan Garcia. Got that draft onto the number 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson. A little bit of a tunnel push there from the 05, and Chris Boyles is back in it, but I tell you what, he lost some positions right there. 3 wide with the number 68 of Rob Haynes. And again, Rob Haynes. Looking like Rob Haynes is going in the wrong direction. Rob Haynes, he's going forward, but he's going backwards. Going back to that back of that pack. You know what, I tell you what, there is an explanation for this. And I tell you what, you know, as these drivers roll around this track, you know, you're sitting in the fire pit. You're sitting in the thunder zone. You are sitting in that hornet's nest, and sometimes you say, you know what, I got to back off. I have got to back off. I'm going to drop to the back of this pack. And I tell you what, we're going to give you a bird's eye view of what it's like up there. We're in the cockpit with Travis Browder. Travis Browder, as good of a driver as ever did come, but Travis Browder right in the middle of this hornet's nest, if you will, onto the rear end of John Woodruff in the 117 tonight. Travis Browder sitting in 13th position, losing 2 spots over his starting position of 11th, side by side with Chris Boyles. Travis Browder with a big gap between him and the 117. Travis being very, very safe. Chris Boyles, on the other hand, up top, hanging on to the rear end of Kevin Scott Nelson. About a half a truck length's difference. Kevin Scott Nelson, there you go. He is all over the rear end of the Lucky Leprechaun Pad truck, being driven by John Henderson tonight. Whole lot of action going on up front, I tell you what. Joel Wood in the number 79. Hanging out with the number 22 of Jay Dargett and the 117 of Johnny Woodruff. Joel Wood started 16th tonight. Currently up to 8th position and almost taken the number 22 of Jay Dargett 3 wide. Thought better of it. Pretty tight driving out here. Lap 14 of 100. You know, we've got a long way to go tonight. And we got a long time to get there. Patience, patience, patience. That is the key to get through tonight's 100-lap race, racing for Pad. One driver a lap down, Michael Johnson. Travis Browder onto the tail end of that pack. Travis Browder in the number 51. Or even though Michael Johnson is 7 laps down, Michael Johnson's still in it. Michael Johnson on the rear end in the 004, showing his support for Pad and his club, AAA Motorsports. Big shout out there too, Michael Johnson. Number 75 of Wally Tierheimer, finally making it to his teammate and good friend Chris Voiles. Now that we see Wally and Chris hooked up, they're pretty much going to stay together most of the night, in and out of pit row as long as they possibly can. And that is one thing about the speedways, folks. You need to have yourself a buddy. Simple as that. You got to have yourself a buddy out here. Number 91, Joel Guy, in line with the 05 of Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr. driving the over-the-top paints and designs. Mickey Clenny Foundation Pad truck. Such a beautiful truck there. Gary Whitmer Jr. out east this weekend with Walk with Pad. His father, 2 trucks up in the number 52, joining him as well. Becky Whitmer out there on that chat channel. Huge supporters of Pad. If you'd like to help Pad out, well, first off, spread the word about Pad. That's the #1 way you can help Pad out. Spread the word. Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your grandmother, especially tell your children. Tell the nieces and nephews when they come to visit. Spread the word about Pad. But if you'd like to go one step further, go to www.padd.org. You can make a donation. You can purchase wristbands, t-shirts, bumper stickers. A lot of stuff out there to help you show your support for Pad. But the main thing is, as you tell your spouse and your loved ones goodbye every day, tell them, hey, if you hear me texting you and you're driving, don't answer me. I'd rather wait 5 or 10 minutes for you to pull over rather than wait forever for a text I'm never going to get back because you answered a text and you done got yourself killed and run over. Here at KMA, we are very serious about endorsing Pad. We preach it, we live it, we stay alive by living it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you do too. This is the monthly race for Pad. Donald Stewart leading 16 laps tonight. Edward Bray leading 3. Number 25, Brad Harris on that outside lane. Brad Harris making his way up top. Got tired of following around Edward Bray, evidently. Brad Harris and Mark McFadden trying to make something happen on that top middle lane. But Donald and Edward Bray very dominant downstairs. Gaps forming on that inside lane. Number 64, Lee Staples, trying to catch up to the rear end of Edward Bray. But a huge gap there behind Lee Staples. Number 52 starting to close that gap. You got to stay tight. You got to stay bunched up. Gap up on the top lane. Between Joel Wood and the number 111 of John Henderson. John Henderson starting to tighten it up a little bit. Donald, Brad, Edward, Mark, and Lee are our top 5 drivers out here tonight. 1/5 of the way through tonight's race. 9 laps away from, hopefully, green flag pit stops. I'll tell you what, that is what will separate the men from the boys. Will be those green flag pit stops. Talladega, a very huge track until you get 4 of these Chevy Silverados and Toyota Tundras side by side. And then it gets a little tight. Hanging off the left front of Joel Wood, side by side on the inside of Gary Whitmer Sr. Taking a look at number 2264. Solid line being held. Mark McFadden in that baby blue truck up front, looking like he's wanting to take a peek at a 3 wide, but 22 not biting. Donald Stewart leading this pack. Donald Stewart leading 20 laps out here tonight. Taking a little bit of a look at that truck. People against distracted driving. Cecil Jackson, Diamond Graphics, the official painter for PAD, putting that design together with an inspirational from John Hedrick. Big shout out there to Cecil Jackson and John Hedrick over the top paints and designs. Now, something else you're going to notice, the number 22 tacked there on the side of the number 78. 22, the number of Nikki Clenny. Donald Stewart really doing a fine job out here tonight, showing that pride for PAD. Lee Staples in 4th place, driving the Karen's Chalkboard, truck dedicated to the wife of Lee Staples. Gary Whitmer on the inside of the number 22 of Jay Durgett. Joel Wood still hanging tough. Old Schools Motorsports, number 79, Joel Wood, 9th position. 05, Gary Whitmer Jr. in 10th. John Henderson back in 11th. Joel Guy in the number 91 up to 11th position. Lap 26 of 100. We're about 4 laps out of green flag pit stops. Going to separate the men from the boys. You got to get into pit row safely. You got to get out of pit row safely. You got to get your fuel. You got to get your tires. And we've got some green flag pit stops going on. Joel Guy putting on those brakes. Joel Guy going for a spin. Whoa. I tell you what, that is the perils of pitting here at Talladega. But I tell you what, it is green flag pit stops. Hanging with the number 91 of Joel Guy. A little bit of a rough time going into pit row. But I tell you what, we had it on videotape. We seen it. We taped it. Joel Guy saved it. Didn't come into contact with anybody else. Didn't come into contact with any walls. Joel Guy just decided to sit there and do a donut. Must have been a little bit hungry. Definitely going to take some tires on that one. So we had Ivan Garcia going in, Gary Whitmer going in, Lee Staples, Johnny Woodruff went in, Edward Bray went in. Lee Staples pulling out alongside Joel Guy. Lee Staples maybe have gotten a 15-second penalty going in, but I tell you what, folks, we had mentioned about how pitting is going to separate the men from the boys, and I tell you what, that is exactly what happened. Travis Browder leading his first lap of the night. Brad Harrison second place, still in pit row. Chris Voiles making his way into pit row. Second round of green flag pit stops happening. Looks like John Henderson is in that pack. That is a ton of truck right there leaving pit row. Now these drivers do have to stay below that yellow line as they do come around turn 1 and 2 onto the backstretch and merge safely up onto that track. If they come up onto that track at any point in time, they will be issued a black flag. Donald Stewart, Edward Bray looking at second and third position. I gotta tell you what, true story. True story about last night. Donald Stewart, winner of last night's race. And it's the same track, same vehicle. So Donald Stewart, you know what? He's got to be in a really, really good spot right now. They are going to pass Travis Browder. Travis Browder, our current leader, but Travis Browder with no drafting partner whatsoever, and he's going to get smoked on by Donald Stewart and Edward Bray. And here comes that pack, and that pack is bearing down on Travis. They're bearing down on Travis with a little bit of 3 wide going on. We'll have to see what happens with Travis Browder here on lap 29 of 100. Travis Browder up to the high side. Low side goes single file. Not sure if Travis Browder is going to be able to grab onto the rear end of Mark McFadden. Travis Browder trying to get all that side draft. Drivers coming up helping Travis Browder. Well, that was nice of him. I'll tell you what, that'll put Travis Browder onto the tail end of that pack. Mark McFadden helping out his good friend Travis Browder, the number 51. Wally Tierheimer, Chris Voiles in this pack as well. Chris Voiles and Wally sitting in 6th and 7th. Rob Haynes in 5th position. Jay Durgett in the number 22 in 4th. And Brad Harris in 3rd position. Brad Harris moving out, Jay Durgett moving out. Chris Voiles having to go a little bit up track to avoid contact. Chris Voiles creeping up alongside the number 25. Brad Harris and company from 3rd back to 8th. They're only about 1.5 seconds off of our race leader. We've got trouble on that track. Caution should fly. Chris Voiles involved in it. Chris Voiles going sideways, but no caution will fly. Chris Voiles and Mark McFadden going for a ride. No caution will fly. Mark McFadden keeping it down on the apron. Well, I tell you what, that one was a rough one to take right there, as Chris Voiles unfortunately got spun. Spun by the number 75. But I tell you what, that was just odd stuff right there, folks. No contact. No contact whatsoever. No contact. Net code 100%. Tough break for Mark McFadden, being taken out by a little bit of net code between Wally Tierheimer and Chris Voiles. I tell you what, that is a heartbreaker. That's going to be a bit of a game changer right there, folks. Chris Voiles trying to get back up onto that track. And that pack is bearing down on our race leader, Donald Stewart and Edward Bray. Hey, I want to give a big shout out there to the ladies out there on that broadcasting chat. A big shout out to Becky and Michelle. Both of these ladies, big supporters of PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. Big shout out there to Karen Staples. Karen coming out here to root on her husband, Lee Staples. Lee Staples sitting in 14th position. We are caution free here at Talladega in the race for PAD 266. Caution free, 2 rounds of 1 round of green flag pit stops, 2 packs. Donald Stewart, Edward Bray leading. But I tell you what, this pack has caught Donald and Edward, and now we're going to get down to some more racing. Wally Tierheimer, Travis Browder, 3rd and 4th. Brad Harris, Jay Durgett, number 68 of Rob Haynes. Now this could be very interesting. Last night, Donald Stewart won the Talladega race. We had Jay Durgett, not Jay Durgett. We had Rob Haynes. Rob Haynes coming in 2nd, side by side. Rob Haynes tonight maybe wanting not a 2nd place tonight, but wanting a win. Brad Harris up in front. Brad Harris leading his first lap of the night. Donald Stewart taking it right back. Edward Bray laying on that throttle. Coming around the 117 of Johnny Woodworth. Johnny 1 lap down. Chris Voiles 1 lap down. Chris Voiles flying solo. Not where you want to be out here on a super speedway. Michael Johnson down onto that apron, making his way out of pit row. Checking in with Gary Whitmer. Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting at 18 seconds back off of our race leader. Gary showing a little bit of rear end damage on the right quarter panel off the rear. Not quite sure the extent of that damage right there. Crinkled up that little pad logo right there on the rear quarter. Looks like Gary may have taken a bit of some rear end damage. But he's still in good hands there with Joel Guy. Joel Guy, Lee Staples, Gary Whitmer, 14th, 15th, and 16th. "19 seconds back off of our race leader, Donald Stewart, up to 31 laps led. Edward Bray leading 3 laps. Brad Harris leading 1. Edward Bray and Donald Stewart out here tonight dominating. Our next round of scheduled pit stops should be right around 58 to 62. We had talked about how pit stops would dominate tonight. Donald Stewart and Edward Bray, that first round of pit stops they had on lap 28, 6 of them went in, and Donald and Edward were the first 2 out. So they definitely know what they're doing out here tonight. Rob Haynes in 4th place, 3rd position on the inside lane as Wally tries to make a push on that outside lane. Brad Harris, number 25, sitting in 4th. As we are watching these drivers run their caution-free race, another reminder, ladies and gentlemen, about PAD. This is the monthly Race for PAD brought to you by KMA Racing. People Against Distracted Driving. A lot of different ways that you can protect yourself from the dangers of distracted driving by your own hand. When you get into the car, toss the phone underneath the seat. Better yet, toss it into the back seat. You hear the phone ring, you can't reach it, you can't answer it. Turn the phone off, put it on vibrate. On the PAD website, you'll find some applications that'll help you keep that phone quiet while you're driving. You can check out maxmount.com. They have mountable phone devices. They'll hold your electronic device up onto your dash safely. A lifesaver in itself. We've got some contact going on up there. A couple of drivers having to go wide. Rob Haynes having to almost take it to the apron. That'll slow that outside lane being led by Brad Harris down a little bit. A little bit of contact there between Brad and Rob. Travis Browder, Wally Tierheimer still hooked up, waiting for that right opportunity. But right now, all drivers being pretty content to go single file. Going back and checking in on that second pack, we've got John Henderson, Kevin Scott Nelson, and Ivan Garcia. 4.4 seconds off of that lead pack. 4.3. They are within range to catch Donald Stewart and company, but I tell you what, they're going to have to be smooth operators out here tonight on this super speedway. Gary Whitmer sitting back into 11th position with Mark McFadden, Joel Wood. Mark and Joel 12th and 13th. Chris Voiles 1 lap down. Michael Johnson 1 lap down. Lee Staples, Joel Guy, Gary Whitmer Jr. 14th, 15th, and 16th out here tonight on lap 43 of 100. John Woodruff 1 lap down. Chris Voiles 1 lap down. Michael Johnson 7 laps down. And I tell you what, there's a good shot of that purple Pride right there being displayed by Lee Staples, Joel Guy, and Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr. and family joining the Walk with Pad yesterday. And it's actually the second Walk with Pad that Gary Whitmer Jr. has attended. So I tell you what, awesome guy, awesome designer, awesome videographer, awesome supporter of Pad, People Against Distracted Driving. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if nothing else tonight, you're going to know what Pad is about. And I hope that when you go to sleep tonight, Pad is the last thing on your mind. And the first thing on your mind when you wake up and you get into your vehicle. There's a lot of responsibility out there on every driver. Remember, folks, driving is not a right. It is a privilege. And with privileges go responsibilities. Mike Kalini out there every day trying to spread the word about Pad. Donald Stewart up to his 39th lap led. Very content to stay in front of Edward Bray. Well, that's where he wants to be. Edward Bray very content to stay onto the rear end of Donald Stewart. Number 25, Brad Harris, still on that outside lane. Brad Harris putting on a good show tonight. Has only led 1 lap, but I tell you what, he has been a front runner most of the night. All of the night, in fact. Next round of anticipated pit stops should be here in about 10 laps. Remember, folks, don't drive distracted. These drivers tonight showing it how to be how it gets done, staying focused. I guarantee you all these drivers have got their phones off. Number 68, Rob Haynes, last night, second place to Donald Stewart. So I wonder if Rob Haynes has got that thought on his mind. In last night's race, it was Rob Haynes, Donald Stewart, and me and Edward. All straight line formation, but me and Edward were a lap down. On that last lap, Rob Haynes going to the outside. I could have pushed either one of them. I chose to push Donald Stewart. Ed jumped up, tried to push Rob, but we got Donald across that line first. giving him a win last night. But Rob Haynes right now in 4th position. I don't think that's going to be good enough tonight. I think Rob Haynes wants this win tonight. Number 75 of Wally Tierheimer showing a little bit of front end damage on that left front fender. Wally indeed showing he got into something right there. Looks like he may have scraped a wall. There's no wall on the inside lane. Obvious damage from another vehicle. So I tell you what, I bet if we find another vehicle with damage on the right side, that'll probably be the culprit right there. Wally Tierheimer sitting in 5th place, still in a very good position, being pushed by the number 51 of Travis Browder, number 22 Jay Dargett, edging up, trying to go double file, but he's got nobody to push him. You got to have a partner out here, Jay. Number 117 of John Woodruff. 1 lap down, up here racing with the leaders, trying to push the number 25 of Brad Harris up to that front. Brad Harris side by side with the number 68. Donald Stewart up 2, leading 44 laps. I tell you what, folks, these pit stops coming up are going to change everything. Now, I told you on lap 50, we were going to take a look and listen to that commercial put out by Gary Whitmer Jr. Beautiful commercial telling us all about PAD. But we're going to keep it on that 4x4 action. And we'll be right back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out there to Gary Whitmer Jr., owner of GW Graphics, for that beautiful commercial right there. Beautiful advertisement there for PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. More information at padd.org. We are on lap 53 of 100 in our monthly KMA Race for PAD 266, 100 laps at Talladega Super Speedway. We are caution free. We've only had 5 lead changes. Donald Stewart, Edward Bray have completely dominated tonight's race from the time we've had that first pit stop. They were first in, first out. We had 6 of them go in. They were the only 2 that made a perfect pit stop. And at the beginning of tonight's race, I said pit stops will separate the men from the boys. And I tell you what, Donald Stewart, Edward Bray, they got it going on. The close in tow, they've got Rob Haynes, and away they go one more time. Green flag pit stops here on lap 54 of 100. Second round of green flag pit stops. We're onto the rear end of the number 68. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see how these guys go. Oh, we had earlier pit stops. John Henderson out. Ooh, pit stops everywhere. Haynes taking left sides, taking fuel. No right sides for Rob Haynes. Then comes the number 117 of John Woodruff, and away goes Rob Haynes. Donald Stewart out. Edward Bray out. But Rob Haynes beating Edward Bray out of pit row and off that exit way. Edward Bray might be out there without a partner. Will Rob Haynes and Donald Stewart wait for their teammate, Edward Bray? All 3 trucks can get hooked up pretty equal distances apart. But I tell you what, Donald needs to wait and get hooked up with Rob and Edward. They've got to get hooked ASAP. Edward Bray up to the rear end of the number 68 of Rob Haynes. Contact made, and away they go. Now I predict what they're going to do right here. They're going to just fall in line behind Donald Stewart. They've got a good thing going on right here. Will not pass. Hooking up, 3 trucks in line. There we go, one more time. We've got Donald Stewart, Rob Haynes, and Edward Bray. But that'll put Wally Tierheimer, Travis Browder in the lead, coming out of pit row. Wally and Travis, they've got to get that speed up. They are up on track. Wally and Travis are leading tonight's race on lap 56. But here comes the freight train of Donald Stewart, Rob Haynes, and Edward Bray. Wally, Travis, you better get those hammers down. Better get those puppy dogs moving, because you've got the dogs barking at your heels. Donald Stewart closing that rate. He's down to 1.1, 1.0. He's a 0.9. And here comes that trio against that duo. And we're going to have 5 of our top drivers within the KMA League. There they are. They have caught up. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got a race once again. Wally Tierheimer, Travis Browder on that inside. Donald Stewart, Rob Haynes, Edward Bray on that outside lane. Red on the inside, black on the outside. They've got momentum. Donald Stewart almost goes down, not quite. Waiting for Edward. Edward is clear. Down, down, down. Get down tonight. Good run there by the number 78, the 68, and the 66. Good try, Wally and Travis. I tell you what, that was a good run out there. In and out of pit row for Donald, Rob, Edward, Wally, and Travis. So we've got these top 5 drivers right here. This is our top 5. 6th position sitting at Brad Harris. Brad Harris, 10 seconds back, up on the high side. Kevin and John on the inside, having no mercy for the number 25. Here comes Jay Dargett. Can the number 25 catch a draft of the number 22? 25 dropping down, but the number 22 seemingly pulling away. I don't think Brad Harris will be able to catch on to the draft of the number 22. Brad Harris sitting in 9th position. Brad started out 3rd tonight, made a very valiant run. A little bit of contact early on. Difficulty in pit row. He may have that draft of that 22. 22 possibly dragging that brake a little bit. Kevin, John, Jay, and Brad for positions 6, 7, 8, and 9. Moving on back a couple of more seconds, we've got the number 72 of Ivan Garcia in 10th position. Now Ivan, he started out tonight in 18th. He has worked his way up to 10th. But Ivan is by himself. Ivan at 14, 15 seconds back. Ivan needs to find a partner. Moving on back to our 11th position. We have got Gary Whitmer Jr., Lee Staples, Joel Guy for 10th, 11th, and 12th, along with Joel Wood on the inside. Outside lane with the number 117, Johnny Woodruff 1 lap down, Chris Voiles 1 lap down. Gary Whitmer Jr. leading that second pack, 37 seconds back off of our race leader, Donald Stewart. We are on lap 60 of 100, lap 61 of 100. 39 laps to go. No cautions tonight. 7 lead changes. What a race tonight. Not only are these drivers out here showing their pride for Pad, they're showing their pride for one another. A lot of respect going on out here. And I tell you what, I don't know who you're rooting for out there, but I tell you what, these drivers are doing an amazing job. Mark McFadden, Gary Whitmer battling for 15th and 16th position. Gary Whitmer, last truck in line, not necessarily where you want to be. You always want to have a truck behind you to push you. Gary Whitmer pulling up alongside, trying to get alongside the number 9 of Chris Voiles. Now all these trucks right here, folks, they're on the lead lap except for the 117 and the number 9. And those are those front 2 trucks up in that middle lane. But you know what? They're allowed to race as well. Joel Guy started out 21st tonight. Currently is in 13th position. Hanging out with Lee and Gary and Joel. Lab traffic on the outside getting a good run. 117 and the 9. But staying up high. Joel Wood dropped back a few positions, back to position 15. Mark McFadden staying true to that middle line. Gary Whitmer Sr., probably a little bit more distance between him and the number 91 than what I would like to see. I'd like to see him step on a little bit. Gary Whitmer tightening up that draft. Same thing with Mark McFadden, the baby blue truck on the outside. I'd like to see Mark tighten up that draft a little bit. Joel Guy going around, Gary Whitmer Jr., Chris Voiles dropping down to the inside. Complete game changer right here is Joel Guy leaving Gary Whitmer Jr. Joel Guy coming up onto the rear. Oh, that was not Joel Guy. That was Lee Staples. We are 3 wide with Michael Johnson. That is Lee Staples who jumped onto that outside lane. Lee Staples looking like he's going to work with 117 of Johnny Woodruff. Chris Voiles in front of Gary Whitmer Jr. Chris Voiles 1 lap down. This pack sits at 40 seconds back. 40 seconds off of our race leaders. Checking in with our race leaders. Edward Bray, Donald Stewart still hooked up, nose to tail. Wally Tierheimer, Travis Browder hooked up. No, I tell you what, I think this is the way this is going to stay for a while. And it's going to be Wally and Travis and Donald and Edward, simple as that. Not sure where Rob's going to go. Travis and Wally back down to straight line formation. Donald Stewart leading his 56th lap of the night. 56 laps being led by Donald Stewart. Lee Staples up into that middle lane. Still pushing on the 117 of John Woodruff. Lee Staples, he started out here tonight in 5th position. Had high hopes of keeping along with his teammate Edward Bray. Things didn't quite work out that well for that. But I tell you what, Lee Staples is still doing a fantastic job out here. He's not dead in the water. He is rolling. Still got both those trucks on backup. Another round of green flag pit stops will be coming up. Right about lap 88. 88 to 92 will be that lap window. Once drivers cross lap 70, they can pit and hit a full tank. Contact! Contact! That'll be the caution. All right, folks, here's our first caution of the night. Unfortunately, it did involve the number 64 and the 117. And right there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We were 3 wide with it. Take a look at it from chopper position. 91, 64, 117 into a 3 wide spot. 117 went up a little bit. 64 shot the hole. And as 64 shot that hole, onto the rear end of the 117. Tough break for the number 52, Gary Whitmer Sr., the number 48. Wow, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we almost went caution-free right there. What a run, though. Now, as I mentioned, though, these drivers, they got 2 resets. They're in a good space right now, a very good spot. Not too worried about the contact with Lee and Johnny Woodruff. They got 2 backup trucks. They're going to use 1 now. And I tell you what, it'll be a whole new ball game. By the time we get back to Green Flag Racing, we're going to be looking at approximately 70, maybe 60. We're going to be about on lap 72. It's about a 38-lap shootout. 28-lap shootout. I tell you what, after this pit stops will be over. They can make it from here if they fuel up. Donald Stewart should lead him into pit row. And then goes Donald Stewart, making his way into pit row. And this is so critical because right now, every driver that pits right now can make it home to that finish line. A couple drivers will stay out to get their laps back, guaranteed for sure. Gary Whitmer Jr. showing one lap down. Chris Voiles taking his wave around. Gary Whitmer Sr. lined up behind that pace car. Ivan Garcia in first place. Donald Stewart sitting in second. Edward Brave back into third. I tell you what, it has been such a tremendous race out here tonight. I do want to talk to a couple of drivers while we have opportunity. Going to chat with Edward Bray and have Edward Bray talk to us about his night. How about it, Edward Bray? Have you got a copy?
Got a copy, Scott.
I tell you what a night out here tonight. What do you think?
Oh, it's great. I'm having a great time tonight. Everybody's doing a great job racing and being patient. But overall, it's been a great race so far.
Well, I tell you what, last night's race, you and I were both there, and it really came down to between Donald Stewart and Rob Haynes. Now, I'm not there, obviously, and you're not on a lap down like you were last night, so it's kind of the same, kind of different. But you've been behind Donald now pretty much for 56 laps. How are you feeling with Rob Haynes, knowing Rob Haynes may want to win pretty bad tonight?
I'm pretty sure he's going to try to make his move and all, but if I'm behind Donald, I'll stay there.
All right, so you're a true blue to Donald Stewart. Talk to us a little bit about Pat. I see you got a brand new truck out there looking very good.
Yeah, People Against Distracted Drivers. We're big supporters of that. I'm a big supporter of that, especially since I ride a motorcycle, and as I'm riding around, I see so many people that are texting on their phones or they're looking for something as they're driving. I actually saw somebody reading a book not too long ago, and it just amazes me. So everybody who's listening out there, pay attention to your driving. We have other families out there, and you don't want to take their lives or take your own life.
All right, good information out there. And I tell you what, by the book reading, it amazes you. It scares the hell out of me. You being a biker, you be safe, and thanks so much for your support of PAD.
Thanks, Scott.
One more chat with another driver. We've got Rob Haynes out here tonight. How about it, Rob? You got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4. Scott, how's it going?
Doing good, but I'll tell you what, I got a big question out here, and I'd asked Ed. I won't tell you Ed's answer, but I'll tell you what. Last night, you got second place to Donald Stewart. Right now, you're in third. Ed played a hand in that last night. So what are you thinking? How hungry are you? You got something to show Donald tonight?
Yeah, I think so. Just making some decisions on fuel right now, Scott. 28, 29 to go. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save enough. I think that's the discussion up here with Ed and Donald, is if we got enough fuel to get to the end here. So I might be making a pit stop here. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just coming through 3 now.
Well, I'll tell you what, good luck to you. One more question. Now, you know all about PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. Now, you're from Canada. Do they have anything of that nature up there in Canada?
Yeah, I'm sure there's programs going on to bring awareness to teenagers and youth and people coming up with driver's license. Pretty tough to get a license here in Ontario now. They've got like 3 levels and all sorts of different things, hoops to jump through, Scott. So it's probably a good thing and keeps the kids off their phones while they're driving, and full supporter of PAD here.
All right, well, sounds good. Good luck to you, and let's get out there and get a lap led.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you.
Rob Haynes and Edward Bray. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk to Donald before the night's over. Edward Bray, Rob Haynes, Donald Stewart heading off into pit row. So definitely not real sure about that fuel load. I'm thinking they could have made it, but I tell you what, ain't nothing wrong with being safe. Edward Bray, Donald Stewart into pit row. So we're going to see how this runs out tonight. Donald Stewart first off that line. Rob Haynes behind Edward Bray. Rob Haynes dropping to behind Edward Bray, wanting to line up, possibly behind Donald Stewart. That's the way that'll work out. That will put Edward Bray side by side with Donald Stewart. Interesting little situation out there right now. Ivan Garcia showing first under caution with Joel Wood in second. Unfortunately, Lee Staples, I do believe, knocked out of tonight's race. But I tell you what, a valiant effort Lee put on. Did a great job out here tonight. But unfortunately, contact with another truck. And that did take him out along with John Woodruff. Tough break there for both of those drivers. We'll miss them. Did a great job out here tonight, though. Lap 71 of 100. Ivan Garcia, Joel Wood, Donald Stewart, Edward Bray, Rob Haynes. Our top 5 drivers. We're showing Gary Whitmer 1 lap down, Mark McFadden 1 lap down as well. Ivan Garcia, one of our older veteran drivers.
Green flag, all go.
Back to green flag racing here on lap 72. Ivan has led 3 laps led under caution. Donald Stewart, Edward Bray, Rob Haynes, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. These will be the drivers to watch tonight. Donald Stewart onto the outside of the number 79 of Joel Wood. Edward Bray tucked up behind Donald Stewart. 68-22 in tow. Ivan Garcia leading lap 73, his 4th lap of the night. Donald Stewart taking that lead right back on that middle lane. Edward Bray giving Donald Stewart everything he's got. And he's going to have to work extra hard out here tonight. Lap traffic of Mark McFadden in the number 48, working hard with the number 72. Donald Stewart clear and down. Donald Stewart getting that lead back on that inside lane. Rob Haynes trying to push Edward Bray to the front. 25 laps to go out here tonight out of 100. Edward Bray leading lap on the middle lane. Inside lane taking charge one more time. Ivan Garcia pushing the number 78 of Donald Stewart. Jay Dargett in the number 22 still in it, as well as the number 79 of Joel Wood. Got about 12 trucks up here on this lead pack, but not all of them are on the lead lap. Speeds hitting upwards of 189, 190, miles per hour on this super speedway. Jay Dargett currently in 6th place. Started out here tonight in 17th, driving the number 22. Unfortunately, no laps led for Jay Dargett, but I tell you what, he's doing a mighty fine job out here tonight. Lane and Wade, Wally Tierheimer up to 5th. Started out tonight's race in 8th. Rob Haynes, Edward Bray on that outside lane. Now, Rob Haynes said that he thinks he's got something for Donald tonight, but he's going to have to get around Edward Bray, and Edward Bray talked about how he is true blue to Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart up to leading 62 laps. I tell you what, folks, tonight it has been the Donald Stewart and the Edward Bray show. Only one caution so far out here tonight. Been a great race. Drivers coming out showing their support for Pad, wearing the purple pride. We've got the fans out there in the KMA TV chat. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to support Pad, people against distracted driving, and the number one way that you can show your support for Pad is talking about it, telling about it, spreading the word. You know, here in Illinois where I live, very few people know about Pad. It's primarily an East Coast, but it needs to be a worldwide thing. The only way we are going to spread that word across the nation is by word of mouth. Taking a look at our field one more time, back to front. Back in 17th position, we have got Michael Johnson 8 laps down. Michael still in it to win it, and I tell you what a trooper Michael Johnson is. Gary Whitmer Sr., 1 lap down, sitting in 16th position in the number 52 tonight. But Gary Whitmer Sr. actually driving around with that lead pack. Now that could be an important factor in laps to come because, you know, as long as he's up to speed, he can race. He's got a right to race. Same situation with Mark McFadden in the number 48. 15th and 16th position for Mark and Gary, but they are with the lead pack. They are up here racing with these leaders. Very important information right there. Brad Harris, 5.8 seconds back off of that lead pack, and Brad's sitting in position 14. Brad's done a great job tonight, leading 1 lap. Brad in good company with the number 91 of Joel Guy and the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. 5.9 seconds back for Gary Whitmer Jr. Three wide action for the front for the race leaders. We've got the 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson in the rear of this pack, along with Joel Wood. Joel Wood in the number 79. Joel Wood moving up track in that number 79. Old Schools Motorsports. Looking for a little bit of 3-wide action, but with nobody to bite on him behind him, it's not going to happen. John Henderson, one of our big movers for the night, currently in 8th position, started out tonight in 20th, driving the Lucky Leprechaun number 111, and we've got contact. We've got contact with the number 52 and the number 79. And right there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at the number 52 and the 79. As the 79 takes it into a 3-wide position. I'm not real sure there was contact there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I am looking at this very, very carefully, and I'm telling you what, I did not see no contact. No contact right there between the number 52 and the 79. That was net code if I ever done seen net code. No fault on either driver right there. But I tell you what, tough break there for the number 52 of Gary Whitmer. That'll bring out our second caution of the night. Lap 82 of 100. 18 laps to go. Not real sure that any of our race leaders are going to be pitting this time by. Pretty sure they're good on fuel. But this will tighten up this field, and this will indeed be a game changer. Tough break there for Gary Whitmer and Joel Wood. Net code bringing out our second caution of the night. No contact at all. We've got 14 drivers on the lead lap. Mark McFadden should be the driver in line to get his lap back. Unfortunately, Gary Whitmer, 1 lap down, will have to go into pit row and get his vehicle worked on. Edward Bray, Donald Stewart, Jay Durgett, Ivan Garcia, Wally Tierheimer, our top 5. Travis Browder, John Henderson, Kevin Scott Nelson, Chris Boyles, Rob Haynes, rounding out our top 10th, and Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting in 11th. Gary Whitmer Jr. making his way into pit row, along with Joel Guy. Beautiful looking truck right there supporting the Nikki Clenny Foundation. Gary Whitmer, owner of GW Graphics. Joel Wood making his way out of pit row. And that will keep Gary Whitmer on that lead Gary Whitmer Jr. on that lead lap, along with Joel Wood. Brad Harris, Joel Guy, still on that lead lap, and Mark McFadden will be back onto that lead lap, courtesy of that second caution. Gary Whitmer Jr. slowing that truck back down to pace speed. Gonna get a quick chat in with Gary Whitmer Jr. How about it, Gary? Have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
Now, I tell you what, we're on limited time here, but I want to hear all about your weekend. Tell me all about that Saturday.
Well, we went up to Washington Township, New Jersey, left Friday afternoon. Well, actually, late Friday morning, and got there Friday afternoon, and then went to the Walk with Pad on Saturday morning.
Now, I tell you what, that's got to be really cool. You took Mom and Dad up there with you, right?
Yep, Mom and Dad, yep.
And then you've got Mom out there on the KMA TV chat right now rooting you on. You've got Dad out there. Hopefully, Dad can get back on that lead lap. But when we're talking about the Whitmer family and Pad and racing, it's really a family event. That's got to feel real special.
Yes, it does. Once we got into this iRacing, I got my dad into this iRacing, and yeah, we've had a lot of fun with it.
I tell you what, it's been a blast out here watching you guys race. You've done a great job. When you get back there up into the microphone with your dad, though, if you could tell him that last caution, that was on the netcode bug. He and Joel never touched. 100% complete netcode.
All right, thanks.
All right.
10-4.
All right, good luck to you, and God bless you with your support for Pad.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
All right, big shout out there to Gary Whitmer, Sr. and Jr., and Mom Whitmer, making the Pad event a family affair. Speaking of Pad, we've got one more time to air that great commercial. We're going to air it one more time underneath our second caution. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Race for Pad 266, brought to you by KMA Racing and Pad. Check them out, www.padd.org. People Against Distracted Driving. This is our monthly time that we come together specifically to talk all night about the dangers of distracted driving and to raise support and to point people in the right direction on how they can remain safe behind the wheel. Put the phone down. Like Lee said, somebody reading a book? Seriously? That's scary. One of my pet peeves on distracted driving are the dogs that drive. I'll see people driving along with dogs in their laps, and I just want to pull them over, and I want to ask, does that dog have a license? Of course, somebody's going to be a smart ass and tell me yes, they do. But you know, distracted driving comes in many, many forms. Rubbernecking, looking at a pretty girl, looking at another wreck. Now that's just plain bad when you get into a wreck, watching a wreck. We are back to green flag racing, lap 85, above 100, 14 to go. Donald Stewart, Edward Bray, one more time on that inside lane. Ivan Travis on the outside. I'll tell you what, with 14 to go, we pretty much got a drag race here. All drivers are going to be good on fuel. Hopefully we'll finish this out caution-free. We've only had 2 cautions, so I'll tell you what, it has been a pretty darn good night out here tonight. Donald Stewart will definitely lead the most laps here tonight, sitting at 65 laps led. Tell you what, it's hot outside, but I tell you what, I know Donald, he is burning up tonight. Burning up this 2.6 mile speedway. Very impressed with the number 22 of Jay Dargett. Wally Tierheimer up, falling in line behind Travis Browder. .111 of John Henderson coming up on the inside, side by side with Wally. Gary Whitmer still has got a good chance of tonight's race. And Gary Whitmer Jr. has won a couple of pad races. Always very special when Gary Whitmer Jr. can win it. Travis Browder, Wally 3 wide. Travis and Wally up on that third lane. We got Ivan being the monkey in the middle along with the 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson. And we are 3 wide. We are racing here at Talladega Super Speedway in the race 4 pad. Outside lane falling apart. We've just got Travis. We've just got Wally. Travis getting one more run, trying to get her going. Kevin giving Ivan all he's got. Rob Haynes still in it to win it, back in 8th, and the number 68. Chris Voiles back on that lead lap down on the inside. Gary Whitmer Jr. dropping down, close contact with the 111 and the number 72. 72 leading that outside lane, first truck in line on the outside. But still 3 trucks away from leading that lap. Lap 89 of 100, 11 laps to go. Two cautions totaling 5 laps. What a run tonight. John Henderson, Rob Haynes, very tight. Edward Bray locked onto the rear end of Donald Stewart up front. Ivan trying to get as much side draft as he possibly can off of the number 66. 66 backing down that track a little bit. Ivan getting a run, being pushed on by the 224. 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson. Kevin right now in 3rd place on that outside lane. Ivan almost clear. There goes the 78. Owie. That'll hurt. All right, let's see what happened to Donald Stewart. Edward Bray is pushing on Donald Stewart. Ivan's on the outside. It's all clear. And right there it is, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a bump from the number 66 of Edward Bray. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it happens to even the best of us. Take a look at this inside lane. Tough break right there for a lot of drivers. This is the big one. This is the big one. At least 8 trucks. At least 8 trucks caught up into it. Edward Bray going for a bad ride. I think Gary Whitmer survived it. Travis Browder survived it. Ivan, Rob, Jay. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. 5, 6 drivers maybe survived it. Ivan, Rob, Gary Whitmer Jr. alive. Jay Dargett alive. Travis Browder alive. Joel Guy alive. Mark McFadden. Brad Harris alive. I tell you what, did not see that one coming. That was a bit of a shocker. And that will change everything out here tonight. Ivan, Rob, Gary, Jay, Travis, Brad, Joel in pretty good shape. I tell you what, one of my most favoriteest interviews I like to do, you know who I'm going to grab. My little buddy, Travis Browder. How about it, Travis? You got a copy?
Hey, Scott, how you doing tonight? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. How you doing out there tonight? What do you think?
It was a good race tonight. We did see some green flag pit stops, and this is a race for Pad. Big shout out to Mike Lenny tonight. It was a lot of fun tonight.
Well, it ain't over yet, buddy.
Yeah, we got 8 laps to go. Anything can happen here.
Well, what do you think your chances are? I've seen that you and Wally, well, you and Wally's been pretty much best friends, but you've lost your buddy. He's about a lap down now. What are you thinking?
Chris Boyles is on the lead lap in 9th right now, so he's my other teammate tonight too. So, but we'll see what happens for the last few laps when we go back green. We'll see.
All right, now I want to talk with you about Pad a little bit. You know all about Pad. You know the ins and outs of Pad. You are part of the young generation, and unfortunately, your generation, Travis, is possibly most at risk from having a texting and driving accident. How do you react to that? How do you keep yourself safe?
Got to be focused on the road 100% and be aware of your surroundings, what's beside you, what's in front of you, and don't worry about what's behind you. Just look always what's in front of you. Just be aware of what's going on.
Sounds a lot like rules you got to follow for racing too.
Absolutely.
All right. Good luck to you, Travis. Tell the boys I said hello, and maybe I'll talk to you one more time.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Have a good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our third caution of the night, lap 92 of 100. Didn't quite see that third caution coming out. Let's talk to an admin and see what they're thinking out here tonight. How about it, Joel Guy? You got a copy?
I have a copy on you, Scott. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm still pretty happy with this race. You know, any more cautions and, well, I don't know. But I tell you what, 3 cautions, that's not bad, considering 2 of them were complete net code. As an admin, what are your thoughts on tonight's race? How are the boys playing tonight?
The boys have been playing good tonight. They've been give and take and given plenty of room around each other. Unfortunately, like you said, netcode takes over, even though you got enough space between you that you could walk between the trucks, and still you get turned around because of netcode, but there's nothing we can do about it.
One day we'll find a way to kick netcode out of these KMA rooms. Now, I noticed you put on the Purple Pride tonight. You're looking good out there in your Sunday pad best. I was talking to Travis about the younger generation, his generation, being at high risk for a distracted driving accident. You're one of our older drivers. Back in your young days, you didn't have to deal with a telephone distraction. What are your thoughts on your generation and the dangers of distracted driving?
Well, you've got the dangers of distracted driving at any age. If you're not concentrating on your driving, then you're susceptible to getting in an incident very easily. Just changing a radio station by where you have to look at the radio to do it is enough to take your eyes off the road and something happen in front of you and you're into it. Picking up a Coca-Cola out of your cup holder and having to look for where it's at can cause the same thing. So you just have to put all that stuff aside and drive.
All righty, Joel, and you better get ready to drive now because we're getting back to green flag racing. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Scott. Good. Have fun in the booth, and we'll talk to you after the race.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in-car camera with Joel Guy. Drivers are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. One more lap by. And we're going to stay in-car camera with Joel Guy. I want to give you that in-car feeling. We're going to be going back to green flag racing here in one lap, and we're going to be looking at about a 5-lap shootout. 6-lap shootout. As Joel Guy heads up into that upper lane, finds his placement. Taking a look at our standings right now, we have got out there on that front line, we've got Ivan Garcia, Rob Haynes, Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting in 3rd position, Jay Dargett in 4th, and Travis Browder in 5th. Brad Harris in 6th, Joel Guy in 7th, John Henderson in 8th, Chris Voiles in 9th, and Kevin Scott Nelson sitting back in 10th. Donald Stewart, the hottest driver out here tonight, after contact with Edward Bray, sending Donald back to 11th, and Edward Bray 1 lap down to 15th. Gary Whitmer Sr. sitting in 13th, and Mark McFadden back into 12th. Still just about anybody's game. We've got 13 drivers on that lead lap. As y'all know, I'm rooting for Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting in 3rd place right now. So get her done, Gary. Ivan Garcia up to leading 8 laps tonight. Rob Haynes, last night's 2nd place winner, ain't going to be good enough. He wants that win tonight. But Gary Whitmer and Jay Dargett and Travis Browder, they're going to have something to say about that. Lap 94 of 100, taking that green on. Lap 95, 5-lap shootout. 3 cautions totaling 8 laps. Boogity, 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 and giddy up and go, ladies and gentlemen. Back to hopefully our final 5 laps.
Green flag. Everybody's rolling.
Ivan Garcia leading us on. Gary Whitmer in 2nd, being pushed on by Travis. Rob Haynes coming on that outside lane. But Rob's got no help. 25 Brad Harris up contact. 22 Jay Dargett. That'll be a caution. Taking a look at that replay. Number 22, clear as day. Number 22, Jay Dargett, coming up into the number 25, taking a snip out of his bumper. Fortunately, no other vehicles involved in that one there. 22 saw the 25 ride up. Thought he was clear. Very impressive flipping done by Jay Dargett. That'll bring out the 4th caution of the night. It's like John Henderson and the 111 smoking a little bit on that track, suffering damage. Lap 96 of 100. Well, I tell you what, I'm not quite sure if we're going to go back to green flag racing or not. We're going to have to put in a couple of caution laps. We may end up with a 1-lap shootout out here tonight. This is the race for pad underneath our 4th caution. Now, I tell you what, that's still not bad. We've had 2 of those cautions being 100% indisputable net code. 2 cautions being on driver contact in itself. Drivers will be taking lap 97. At best, we will get a one-lap shootout. Wally Tierheimer tonight in the number 75, making his way down along that apron as 111 is limping his way into pit row. He'll be coming around that corner with a smoking truck trying to find his place. Driver error bringing out the fourth caution of the night. Unfortunately, a truck in the blind spot of another truck. It happens. It definitely happens. John Henderson hoping he could make it around this track one more time. One quick minute to talk to one more driver. How about it, Donald Stewart? You got a copy?
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good, Donald. I tell you what, I'm not sure if you're going to win this race tonight or not, but I tell you what, I do want to talk to you because you led like a couple of hundred laps. What do you think?
Yeah, the race is over, so I think Ivan's got this win. So congratulations to Ivan. He did an awesome job tonight, and also, I want to thank Cecil Jackson for the car tonight. What an awesome car he painted up for me. And the design that him and John Hedrick come up with. Some awesome painters right there.
I tell you what, we put a lot of cameras on you tonight. I mean, how could we not? You being up there leading like about 450-some laps. What was it like up there, though, leading your 68 laps, having Edward Bray behind you? You obviously trust the guy a little bit.
Oh yeah, me and Edward, we hooked up from the beginning. We kind of knew that, and that's the man you want to have behind you. If you want anybody behind you, you want Edward Bray behind you. But it was comfortable up there. You know, we were just running our laps and trying to wind the lap down and get 100 laps in here under green flag. But unfortunately, you know, things happen and incidents happen under you can't control.
It happens, and we had two guaranteed cautions come out by Netco tonight. Absolutely nothing you can do about that. You ran a great race. We appreciate the support, and you're looking sharp in that brand new pad truck.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for the broadcast tonight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, word on the track is it is indeed over. Let's go on and get a chat in with Rob Haynes. How about it, Rob Haynes? You got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4, Scott. Go ahead.
All right, word on this track is that this is over.
Yeah, 10-4. We're not going green. Looks like 1.5 to go.
Well, I tell you what, you got a second last night. You got a third tonight. You had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy with the finishes, Scott. A little bit disappointed with the yellows here late, but you know what? That happens. Guys get antsy here at the end, and everybody wants to go. So you end up pushing, and things can get sideways. So overall, good night, Scott. Appreciate it. KMA, thank you, and you know, I had a great time.
All right, good job. Anybody you want to give a shout out to? You got any sponsors or family out there?
Yeah, my 3 daughters always appreciate what they're doing. I just want to shout out today's Canada's birthday. 151 years ago, we signed a constitution and established the country of Canada. So happy Canada Day.
All right, happy Canada Day. I did not know that. See, you come here, you get a good race, and you get a good education. Good job tonight, Rob.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thanks, man.
How about it, Gary Whitmer?
I got you, Scott.
Well, I tell you what, I was telling the crowd out there tonight that Gary Whitmer is no stranger up there to victory lane in a pad truck and a pad race. You got second. You almost did it again. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I was hoping that caution wouldn't have come out, and I had a little bit more time, but I'll take top 3. I'm good with that.
Top 3. You're taking top 2. I'm very proud of you, sir. So you must really be coming off this weekend. He had mom and dad up there with the walk with pad, and in a pad truck, you got home second place. What advice would you give overall to have the success that you've had out here?
Take your time, patience.
Taking your time and patience. Very good advice.
Yep.
Now, real quick, tell me about GW Graphics, because I'll tell you what, we showed that video 3 times tonight, and I can't stop watching it.
GW Graphics to do video productions for KMA and for special events like these put on, and also to show off sponsors and all kinds of stuff.
All right, well, I tell you what, you did a great job. You've had a fabulous weekend. Congratulations on your P2 position, bringing the Nikki Clenny Foundation up there to that P2. Good job, Gary Whitmer Jr.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
All right, but I tell you what, right now, we have got to talk to him. He's one of my favorite drivers. He's one of my best friends. He is one of our veteran drivers. Doing it again, Ivan. How you doing? Ivan Garcia, you got a copy?
Yeah, you copy?
There you are. How you doing?
Hey, I'm fine, brother. Man, I'm so excited. I thank all the drivers for clean racing, and I thank PAD for everything they do, you know, keep people safe, you know, and try to make them understand that testing driving is a bad situation, and they should never do it. So, yeah, I got lucky here.
You didn't get lucky, Ivan. You got skills. Talk to me about your last 10 laps.
Oh my goodness, I was just hoping that I didn't mess up, you know. I was scared, you know, my hands were sweaty, and, you know, with 2 drivers like the 78 and the 66, man, they're such great drivers, man. I had a heck of a time staying in front of them or pushing them, but it was all fun.
Well, I tell you what, you know, none of us like to have a race end up under caution, but I tell you what, it was a good race tonight. We had a couple of issues with netcode, a couple of drivers' error, but ultimately, the only lap that matters is the one that you're leading right now. Any sponsors or friends or anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, I want to give a shout to KMA, of course, is the, you know, greatest place to race at, and thank you and everybody involved in this race, and PAD, of course.
All right, I tell you what, we are hoping that once you take your final lap out here, that we get you in that 72 Tide truck out there in a winter circle pillar of smoke, and you can burn out some donuts. What do you think?
I think that's, yeah. That's the next thing I gotta do. Woo! Woo! Woo-hoo, guys! Thank you, guys.
All right, good job, Ivan. All right, I tell you what, folks, there it is. A little bit of a surprise there at the end of tonight's race. Ivan Garcia bringing home tonight's win for the Race for PAD 266. A big shout out there to one of our veteran drivers. Ivan been with us almost for about 4 years now. Doesn't win a lot, but when he does win, he wins big. Big winner of a broadcasted race a few years ago, the Ladies Night Out. So Ivan, always a lot of fun to race with. Big shout out there to Ivan Garcia, to Gary Whitmer Jr. in second position, and to the number 68 of Rob Haynes. What a weekend there for the number 68. Second place last night, third place tonight. Definitely a high caliber racer. Ladies and gentlemen, most important tonight, remember, this is the Race for PAD 266. The one time a month that we come together on this track and on a broadcast to promote safe driving and educate you about the dangers of distracted driving. And I indeed hope if you take one thing away from tonight's race, it is 4 letters. PADD, People Against Distracted Driving. Check them out online at www.padd.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to flash up those race results. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Sounds like the drivers had a good time tonight. We'll check you out on the next PAD race, the first Sunday of the month. Take care and be safe.